Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to once again another Alpha X Pro replay cast. Once again, we are going to be diving into the OlimoLeague December 2020 finals with two amazing players coming fresh off the presses off his win versus Byun in the previous round. We're going to get this guy down here. He is DPG's Cure. And his opponent up here, he is the Terror. He's also beaten Byun quite a few times. It is Rogue. So this is going to be an excellent one here. Cure. He's really grown as a player in the previous year. We've seen him kind of just go from kind of middling tier SC2 Pro to absolutely god tier. He's been kind of building himself up with a lot of different victories in some very premier leagues and tournaments. I think he actually made it to the finals of King of Battles as well, if I remember, just absolutely decimating players like Cyril and Beyond himself to get that far. But you know what? He's going up against a guy who's, you know, he's one of the best Zerg players alive, and that is really the only way I can describe him. He hasn't been completely consistent his entire career. That's one of his big downfalls, is that sometimes he'll just be completely on fire and he'll decimate BlizzCon. He will crush through IEM. But then there are some times where he kind of falls in the round of 32 in like GSL. So I really hope that this is the former Rogue, as he is going to have a very good time versus this guy. Spawning. Oh, no, I already did the replays. Here we go. First little bit of an engagement here. Already Rogue going to lose one of these lings. Might lose a couple extra here as Cure is just going for the big kills here. If he can kind of whittle down the couple of lings and the queen as well, then he's going to be able to get that first creep tumor, which is kind of the gold standard here for this guy. If he can get that, it's going to slow down the creep spread, make it a little bit less easy to defend the third hatchery. A little bit of a scout coming on in. The last ling does fall. Queen's going to have to come in, but no kills today. We do see off the back of this kind of a standard opening here. We've seen this a lot more from Terran players. That additional third CC is just going to keep him as equal as possible and allow him that kind of Terran explosion into a War Machine 3 base, which will just kind of allow him to continuously push and keep the pressure onto Rogue, force him to remake army rather than go up to 70 to 80 workers and just kind of kill you slowly. All right, gonna add in the Banshee as well. That's some nice damage output as long as you can kind of keep the queens away from the main base. Gets a creep tumor, which is pretty nice, but right now, I mean, it's kind of this slower build up here. You know, he's not going to drop down the third CC on location until he's done um, keep getting his natural nice and saturated here, but it does look like he's just going to be following this up with a nice Hellbat timing. Uh, Basically, now that does mean that the Banshees can be utilized to kind of augment the push rather than relying on Marines. He does have a couple of Marines, though, which he can kind of push across the map. No medevac. But here we go. Remaining Hellions are on their way. The Banshee is going to be just kind of hanging out. Rogue does scout them, but they're not really doing too much until they augment with this force. So the Queens are in position here. Rogue has that counterattack going towards the third, and there are so many Queens with this. My goodness. Forces the lift off on the other side of the map, but there's not that much transfuse energy left as the concave gets wider and wider. Looks like the Hellbats just barely trying to inch their way forward, but unfortunately they will fall, and now these Marines, without any sort of backup, are going to get taken down. The Banshees, though, going to get a little bit of additional damage in the backfield, so equal trade there, 5 and 6. A couple of additional as he goes towards the third. And now he can kind of just keep these Banshees as a small-time threat. With the number of queens that there are still remaining, it's not going to be really a good idea to try and overextend with them. But it looks like Rogue is just going to try and power up with that macro hash before his own fourth, as Cure once again going to be going into even more Hellbats. All right. If the Banshees get the spawning pool, that would be absolutely hilarious. Looks like he's going to dive on top of that. A couple of additional kills here in the third base. That was pretty nice. But now the Banshee, a little bit yet less useful. It just really doesn't have the health to really attack anymore. Although a small little counter is going to get 4 additional SCVs. What I like out of Cure's playstyle right now is this is kind of textbook Terran. Once you're done with one sort of harassment, you need to already have your next big hit coming across the map. Otherwise, you're going to have a very difficult time kind of keeping your opponent back. And like what we see here, Rogue being forced to make 20 additional lings. He's got to get a good engagement here if he wants to drone up any further. But here we go. The Hellions actually jumping on top of this. The Baneling's only just now morphing too, so he's going to have to rely on the transfuse energy. The fourth base under fire. 7 more workers going down. Cure is on an absolute tear, and the Baneling's getting caught behind the Queens. They are only just now going to be able to start the fight. The Hellbats are going to force the Lings back as well. And the Rogue backed into a little bit of a corner here as the transfuse energy runs out. He really just doesn't have a lot to push this back. So even if Cure gets cleaned up here, he's already got a second army on the way. And look at that. He just picks up and is going to go in for one more big push to kill his opponent. Look at that. A ton of Banelings actually going to go down there as well. I think really Rogue is dead from this point forward, and it's only a matter of time. GG is called, and Cure takes game number 1. So gamers, see you in game number 2. So we hop into game number 2 between these two legends. Spawning up here in the top position, he is Rogue. And down here in the bottom, he is Cure. All All right. So after that previous game, Rogue did get a little bit overwhelmed. He was having trouble kind of keeping up with the constant aggression out of Cure. Kind of just it kind of just really threw him for a loop. He wasn't really prepared for it. He did expend a lot into getting those queens out, which did keep him safe for a time, but they really lost their effectiveness, essentially, as time went on. And now as we hop into this one, a little bit of an odd positioning here for these racks, and it looks like we're going to be going into a 2-1-1. All right, so Cure going to keep up this kind of aggressive style. He wants to keep the pressure on, and he wants to task Rogue to the fullest here. We do see the double refinery down as well, so what that is going to allow him to do is get the factory up nice and early. It's going to allow him to hit a little bit quicker, and yeah, it should be a pretty good move here. We don't see Rogue really scouting at all with these overlords. He should know that something a little bit strange is up, just from the fact that he is not really seeing the Reaper come across the map. But it takes a little bit more information before you can make any sort of indication as to what your opponent's going for. So we'll have to see if he does decide to sacrifice the Overlord to get in there. As of right now, Rogue going to be up on that third base. He should be droning up. He should be pretty heavily droning up right now. There is a bit of time before this starts to kind of ramp up, and that's when you need to start getting prepared for it. So, yeah, the best thing that you can do is kind of throw down a couple of additional Evo chambers as well, and just get your upgrades going. Because a lot of the time, the Terran player will semi-delay his upgrades in order to make this work. It just takes so much expended minerals, and he's forced to remain aggressive with it as well. You can't just pick up the units and come home. You have to continuously use them to push different locations if you want to, if you really want to make this strategy worth it. And we do see Rogue going to be getting a little bit of a scout out. He should kind of realize now with the amount of Marines out that there's a potential for this, and he does throw down the Baneling Nest instantly to try and get ready for it. All right. So now it's kind of that slow build-up as we wait for this 2-1-1 to hit. Actually, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a modified one as well. We do have the armory going to be going down, so the Hellions going to augment this force, make it that much more scary to deal with here. So Rogue, you know, this does mean that he's going to have to target fire down the Marines a little bit more effectively. It just adds a little extra to this push, and I really like it. All right, so far, Rogue not going to have vision of it either. He should catch just barely a glimpse. Doesn't look like it, so Cure doing a very good job of staying undetected for the time being. Now, though, Rogue sees that there is not as many Marines as there was before, and that is just going to ring the alarm bells in his head. These guys will have stim. Combat shield's about halfway complete, so that will complete sometime during in the fight. And here we go, going to clean up some of that creep to start things off. Banelings have morphed in. They don't have speed, but they are on creep. Just going to go straight for the Marines, but the stim back is going to be enough to push those back. Now he's just going to focus fire them down, go straight for the natural. And unfortunately, his Marines are now trapped. There is plenty of transfuse energy. Small little run by, though, is going to get deflected. And yeah, unfortunately for Cure, he wasn't able to get as much damage done as he probably would have hoped. So now Rogue going to be playing from a 20-point lead here. And he does have quite a few tech structures up and ready to go, including the Spire. Again, I still would have liked to see him throw down the Evo Chambers, maybe at least get the +1 upgrades for these Lings, make them a little bit more effective. But, you know, Rogue does know what he's doing. He's playing it safe. He kind of knows the limits of what he's able to do. Nice Baneling pick off there. We do see the 4th base coming on down. Rogue still has some good information out on the map. He just wants to make sure that he catches these drops moving across. And now, you know, this is not 100% committed here, but you got to be careful not to lose the Metavacs. You're only mining 4 gas geysers at this point, so it's very crucial to not be replacing gas-heavy units like those Metavacs. And now he does get some good focus fire on the Bane's, going to start chipping away at the 4th. But the Queen's going to be able to force this back for the time being. And there you go. Plenty of transfuse energy. Might get an Overlord or two. That's about the extent of the damage before these Mutalisks hit the field. Alright, he does have Tunneling Claws on those mines as well, so they are going to be pretty difficult to deal with here. The Banelings do get picked off, good focus fire there from Cure, but again, he's playing from a very large lead here. Taking a look at that army size, it's dipping quite significantly, and his income is steadily in the red. Okay. That's kind of how you get it done here. The Muta's all going to get taken down. A couple of Widow Mines drop into the main base as well off the back of that. So 7 additional workers heading on down. And now Cure starting to kind of even up that little bit of a deficit. So here we go. He's just going to keep these Widow Mine drops coming now. Oh man, getting amazing drops down. The drones are pulled, but I think that's kind of what he wants. As Mutas do take a couple of additional pot shots there. What happened right there? The good thing about replays is that we do have instant replay analysis as these Widow Mines come in. There is another medevac going completely undetected. And that is a huge kill there for Cure. Now, Rogue is going to have to remake all of those. He is on 84 workers, but at this point, he really wants to be up to 90 overall just to keep himself in economic good graces. Oh no, another one is about to hit. I gotta say, Rogue, he's not really falling apart at any stage here, but he's really taking these huge hits that he honestly shouldn't. It's just really kind of sloppy from him. Lost that additional 6 drones and another Mutalisk. That's not really how you want to be playing it. All right, but that is a good start there. Going to clean that up before it goes down. So Cure looks like he was about to attack. He's just going to decide, nah, I'm just going to go for a bit more of that later game play. And I mean, he's going to have to contend with quite a bit here, as Rogue does have the Hive about to complete. Going to get Burrow +2 upgrades as well, so he's actually ahead. Or he was ahead on that for a little bit. Now Kier's starting to catch up. Alright, Widowmine's not going to be able to get that shot off. Kier's still going to be trying to get that done. Banelings do break through. They finally get a connection, but unfortunately it does take at least 2 to clean this up. So now the Medivacs are going to be able to heal up this mineral line. And yeah, from here, looks like we have stabilized. Alright, you're going to be moving across now. Going to get a couple of quick pickoffs on the Queen. We'll be able to clean up quite a bit of this creep, as Rogue doesn't really have a ton of Banes at his disposal right now. Only 14. Some good splits as well. Going to mitigate some of the damage. I do think that Kier could have done a little bit of a better job there, as it looks like he will be forced back off that. But yeah, good defense from Rogue so far. Basically, he just needs to keep. Keep Cure back. He needs to continuously just pump these units. Maybe go up to the Ultra Cavern, which he has. Because Cure is still only on primarily Marines. So any sort of Ultra switch is just going to catch him completely off guard. And I think this would be the best time to do so, as the Marauder count is just going to grow from here. The Banelings, though, going to get right on top of this. Good liftoff. Going to save a good chunk of that army, though. Widowmine just kind of hanging out. 16 kills to its name. Right. Marauders going to inch their way forward here. The Banes don't want to waste their time on them. Just going to go for the juicy Marine connections. We do see a little bit of a run by. That is going to be pulled back here. Rogue feels like he needs a good chunk of his army back at home to defend, but some huge Widowmine connections. Going to thin out the Baneling count. And now Rogue still maxed out, keep in mind. But I don't think Cure is going to really sacrifice this location anytime soon. He is set up in this huge minefield. And he's just going to keep the pressure going. Just inching his way on the creep, but the 360 surround is going to be enough. He picks up, he gets on out of there. Some huge Widowmine connection is going to make sure that Rogue can't really engage too far forward here, although he is going to try. But you really have to be careful not to overextend. Just now we see the Ghost Academy about to finish up. So Kier going to get his transition down as well. He's pretty much getting all of the upgrades right now. He's just feeling that rich. But yeah, I feel the problem is with these Mulisks is they haven't really gotten that much damage done. They've kind of been stuck with the main army, so I think at this point he really does want to do something, but he's lost so many of them that unfortunately they're not at that really critical mass where they can kind of just go free reign. Even just now, they're taking a lot of hits from that Thor they took down. Gonna get a couple of missile turrets in there as well before they kind of jump out. I mean, Cure, you know, he's pretty equal on supply, only just now maxing out again. But at the same time, Rogue starting to tighten the noose a little bit. Even going to go for the 5th. We'll be able to clean that up quite handily here. No repair going down. So Cure kind of just sacrificing that location. That is going to prompt Cure to go for another big attack. Let's see what he can get done as not really a base trade, as a good chunk of the army is still at home for Rogue. But we do see him kind of getting on top of the production, trying to slow Cure down in any way that he can. Just wants to buy himself a little bit of time here. 3rd under threat. Widowmines, though, take down a good chunk of the Banelings, and the Marauders soaking up a lot as well. 34 SCV is going to be going down, so Cure's economy is going to start to falter. And that means every unit counts for him. But Rogue is just looking scarier and scarier by the minute. Because, I mean, look at this. Even though he is going to lose this base, he's lost another one in the top position. He's still got these little bits of counterattack going on. He tries to intercept the army, but no dice on that. But as long as he can kind of keep this pressure up, Cure is going to be whittled down. It's essentially, as I like to say, death by 1,000 cuts. And a couple of additional Widowmine shots. All right, so even just taking a look at the production here, we got a couple of planetaries and some Widowmines. Not really going to be going anymore into the bio, it looks like. He does have a good bank of gas going, so that's going to help to kind of eat into that. But yeah, I mean, overall, Rogue is just really whittling him down. He's not remaking the SCVs. He's relying on the mules to stay semi in this. I'm just worried. I'm just really worried here because Rogue, he doesn't need to make any more economy. He doesn't need anything but units, and he's starting to build up a very scary bank that is going to be very difficult for Cure to kind of react to. Even the Banshee's going to be coming in, taking down some more of those Widowmines, just trying to clean up what he can. Cure is supply blocked at this time. So, yeah, just no more units from him. He's going to attack once again, and it's kind of this... It's kind of not so much desperation. He just needs to do anything to take the pressure off himself. Here we go. Baneling's getting soaked up a lot by those Marauders, actually. A little bit risky positioning for the Ghost, but they do get a good snipe. We do see the Ghost Academy going to be taken down, however, so every Ghost on the field is all that is it. But, you know, Cure, he's making it work. He's got a little double prong here, going to be taking down both of these bases. Unfortunately for him, though, Rogue has secured the bottom 6 position. But yeah, his production is completely compromised here by the Mutalisks. He's being forced back home, and his supply has plummeted. Units are literally dying faster than they could be made. 7 more Mutalisks on the production tab, going to be reinforcing this. Got to be careful here. Don't want to lose too many of them. And you do have some Widowmines in some cheeky positions ready to intercept. Yeah, I'm really worried for him here. I don't really know how he can kind of force his way back into it. He's going to need to kill off that mining base in the bottom for starters. But I don't even know if he knows that exists. Yeah, he's got no vision of it whatsoever. And here we go. Rogue feeling like the mouse is securely in the trap. He's going to try and pull the trigger, but is forced back. He needs to get a couple of more banelings before he really makes this fight worth it for him. Yeah, he's just going to regroup before he goes in again, and now Cure kind of relying on the Widow Mines a little bit more than he should here. Does get a really nice connection there. Luckily for these Mutas, they do have one armor upgrade, so they are going to stay alive. Huge connections in the third as well. Oh my goodness. These Widow Mines are actually keeping Cure in the game. We do see, though, that he is starting to mine out on a couple of these bases, while Rogue even going to take one on his own side. A lot of fresh minerals for him. And once again, maxed out. Cure, he's struggling to maintain 161 supply. You know what? Here we go again. We're going to rotate around. The Widow Mine is going to get some huge connections once again. The supply is starting to fall for both sides here, but again, Rogue is just being continuously forced back. He needs to fight with his whole army, but the Banelings were not with the main force, so now he's trying to chase this off of creep. You know, though, Cure is being pushed back, and as his units fall, he doesn't really have the economy to efficiently replace them. Although that being said, Rogue is not really making a lot himself here. Taking a look at this. Only 42 Lings at this stage, and now he's going to be losing even more Mutas. Alright, there we go. That's the damage that he was looking. And with the 70 supply lead, we should be seeing Cure as he gets surrounded here. Maybe start to think about tapping out with Rogue tying up the series, as his production once again is compromised for the final time. Just get a little bit of drone damage over here, this one Widow Mine. But at what cost, Kalaris? Last little remnants of his army down below 100 supplies. Ghost gonna get the last couple of snipes. But there you have it. As the Widow Mines go off, GG is called, and we hop into a tie game number 3. And as we hop in to a tie game number 3, let us introduce our champions. Spawning on the top right corner of Jagannatha, he is DPG's Cure. And his opponent down here in the bottom with a commanding game number 2, he is Rogue. All right. So we've seen that Rogue, if he can hold on, can really hold his own in the late game. It did look a little bit sketchy there with some of those Widow Mine connections, but he was just able to kind of macro his way out of them, consistently replace his forces when he needed to. And yeah, he was able to overcome a very strong Terran opponent. Now, Jagannatha is a much larger map, so any sort of pushing that you have will be a little bit trickier to pull off for a Bio-Terran. So we're gonna have to see how Cure decides to play this one out. Is he going to be more aggressive, or is he going to kind of simmer out a little bit more? Try and play it into that late game and maybe kind of clean up some of the mistakes that he was making that kind of cost him the game. So far, so good. Gonna get that first little Ling kill. It looks like Rogue did commit a little bit extra to that defense early on. With the additional set of Lings, looks like the Queen is going to be dropping that down, but that's going to get picked off. So the third base is going to be a little bit more exposed for just a little longer. It doesn't seem like the biggest deal, a couple of seconds, but this does open up the possibility for Cure to once again go for some sort of Hellbat timing. He could do Banshees once again, and if the bases aren't connected up, the Queens aren't going to be able to defend as easily as you might think. So that's one big thing why getting the first couple of creep tumors killed off is such a big deal. So far, though, no cheeky shenanigans here from Cure. It's mostly just kind of getting that Banshee Hellion timing, which can be pretty powerful. But you know, Rogue kind of knows his stuff. He knows how to defend these more standard Terran openings. And as long as he's got vision of the Hellions as well, that's going to be the most important thing. Because if you don't see the Hellions across the map and you know they're there, then that's when you kind of start thinking, okay, this is Hellbats. Start preparing now. And as I say that, it is Hellbats. So Kira doing a very good job of kind of selling the fact that it's only Hellions. But Rogue is prepared. You know, he's got the Baneling nest coming on down. As long as he can kind of sell that it's just Hellions, he's going to be in a much better spot because, you know, Rogue's still kind of just droning up, only getting a couple of additional Lings for the defense. So, yeah. Everything is about to start popping. Alright, there we go. Instantly, the Banelings start to morph. The Queens do have enough transfuse energy to kind of keep this back. You do need to keep the Banelings safe while they are morphing, though. That is kind of the most important thing that you can do. And now you do need to be prepared to fight onto creep. Or fight on the creep. Can't really engage too far forward. Banshee's going to be finding their spot now as well. They are able to one-shot the drones. And now going to be focus firing down the spawning pool for just a little bit. That's just because they really can't find an angle to move in on. As the Queen's just going to be enough to push this back. So not that much damage. Not that much damage done right now. Alright, one of the Banshees does go down. Okay, so the fact that Cure has kept these Hellions alive, he hasn't been too aggressive with them, is such a big deal as well, because he's going to be able to augment his forces for this next big push that he's preparing for. And we do see he's lifted up the siege tanks, as we do see a little bit of a chat log there. So that's what happened. The infamous PP that you probably saw on Reddit. Ro going to get the backstab, but the Hellions are here and close enough. Unfortunately for him, that's a lot of Lings that are not going to be home for the defense. One huge siege tank volley is going to be enough to push this back. Scan going to go down, so he's going to just kind of seesaw his way forward here. And by that, I mean push forward, then go back. He needs to stay within range of these siege tanks to make this more effective. He has found a beautiful location right here. Even that one Marine is going to survive. And so now Rogue is kind of backed into a corner here. He does have the angle to come in from multiple sides and the Mutas to help kind of push this away, but there is still so many Marines, and the Baneling count has absolutely been decimated here. So now Cure only has to deal with a handful of Mutas and Lings with... Okay, never mind, he did get the upgrades just finished up here, but now Cure, we see the parade push coming across the map. And although the siege tanks may go down, there's just a little bit too much Terran here. Unfortunately for Rogue, he just really never got that Baneling count that you need, even taking one more big volley right there. And yeah, as the Lings fall, the Mutas are going to start to die as well. And we should be seeing Rogue kind of tap out here almost. Yeah, there you go. GG is called. So Cure taking a match point here. Let's see if he can close it out in game number 4. Stick around. All right, moving on to game number 4. A best of 5. Cure leads it 2-1. So without further ado, speaking of the man of the hour, he's up here in the top for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. He is Cure. And his opponent hanging out in the bottom, looking to claim his victory in this series. He is Rogue. All right. So once again, we've seen what happens when Cure goes for these more aggressive early game pushes. It allows him to kind of build up that league and not so much whittle Rogue down as he kind of just takes an axe and slams it down, and he automatically thinks that's a spear. But you know what? It works for him pretty darn well. As we do see that nothing too crazy going to be going on to start things off. We don't see an additional racks. We see the naturals going down for both sides. And that's one of the things about this game. We do have these safer third base locations to kind of take, so that will help out overall. There you go. Rogue, he does love his roaches. Okay. Second racks as well. Unfortunately, I think that kind of hard counters the roach playstyle, because you are going to be pumping out a ton of Marines. And as long as you can kind of do a little bit of micro just to keep some of the lower ones alive, it's just going to work out very well for him. So we'll have to see how much can Rogue get done with this. It's very committed. Oh yeah, look at that. 6 roaches on the production tab. But you know, Akira has been giving himself quite a bit of time to react to this, as looks like he's already just gonna kind of sacrifice the low ground. I don't think he really wants to keep the CC there, but once it's done, he's probably gonna lift that up. Kind of interesting that he's making something out of it. No, I don't think that's going to be the best option for him. We do see that he's going to augment this force, though, with the additional Cyclone. Already, Rogue is going to break his way through. The stim has not been started. Akira had to delay in order to make this work. Rogue going to be moving it, forcing his way up the ramp, however. There are plenty of Marines to help out, but the Cyclone so far so low. And the SCVs are going to be pulled, so it's going to come down to how many can Rogue get here. Unfortunately for him, the answer is not that many. He's only gotten 4 killed so far, and really, if you're going to commit this heavily to this kind of playstyle, you have to get more than that, especially since mules are going to make up the difference here for Cure. There you go, 6 total, as Rogue is just going to be droning his way out of it. Only a 10 drone lead. Honestly, at this point, I don't know if that's enough, because as we can kind of see from the income tab, it's starting to jump up here as those mules come into play. Alright, CJ going to be going down here. This is a very open position. So the CJ not going to be too... It's going to be very hard to kind of keep this push going, but it's already done what it needs to do for right now, as it's going to get a ton of these queens, as well as a couple of those roaches and a cancel on the third base. So the Rogue going to be forced into the more aggressive location. This is a lot further forward. There's a couple of different locations that you can toss down some siege tanks, so it's a lot more exposed. So yeah, I think Cure is just feeling good enough to kind of back off with this force. You don't really need to overextend here and lose the army, especially when Rogue is going to be going for another counterattack, which is just going to get fully deflected. Alright, so far the Rogue just looking for, kind of looking for this army. He wants to get it cleaned up so that he can stay a little bit safer. But Cure, not really using it right now. He did get stim, so you know, it's going to be a little bit more effective, but there's no healing with it, so he's probably just waiting for a medevac to come pick it up. As we do see Cure going to be reinforcing with another big push. 2 medevacs full of units. And now we're kind of in the mid-game in a little bit of a weird situation. Obviously, Rogue, he still has quite a few roaches to his name, and they're still going to be a little bit effective. But as time goes on, you really do need to keep that transition out of them unless you're going to be going for that faster hive tech, because the roaches are going to lose a lot of the utility as these upgrades start to kick in for the bio. There you go. Yeah, even here, Cure is just going to try and drop a couple different locations, get a little bit more damage done than he has been. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do so. Rogue has split his army efficiently here. Back at home as Rogue starts to clean that up. Cure is just getting his third base nice and saturated. He's sticking with the siege tanks, and we do see Rogue going to be going up to a hive here pretty soon with that infestation pet finishing on up. And I mean, from here, he's making all the right moves. I like what he's doing. Cure, in the meantime, he's trying to get the damage done, but he's getting buffeted away on pretty much every instance. So it's really just allowing Rogue to get up to that very scary Zerg economy. We should be seeing him throw down some more drones here, although that was a really nice pickoff for him. Getting a ton of those overlords. That is a big mineral sink now for Rogue. All right, so now with this gear, just trying to keep him at home for as long as possible. We still have a couple bits of harassment coming across the map while the main army is just in a defensive position. See the Roach just looking for the move out as well. And I mean, from here, the supplies are pretty equal, even down to the worker count. So Rogue really not taking the opportunity to go up to that more scary 70 to 80 workers. Instead, going to use the extra supply to get lurkers, which, by the way, can be pretty scary. I gotta say, they're really difficult to kind of deal with, especially when you add in the additional Viper here and there, which Rogue is doing, by the way. Yeah, here we go. First large-scale attack from Cure. We do see the reinforcements going to be coming in to help a good concave on a lot of these roaches, but they are taking quite a bit of fire. We do see the drop from earlier as well getting dropped into the backfield, so the Ravagers are under huge amounts of threat. And while I don't think this is necessarily going to kill Rogue, it's going to put him into a very uncomfortable position. Lurkers do burrow, so that is going to do what they can to keep the bio back, but they're just going to dive on top. Only just now retreating. We do see that small little bit of a run by, going to clean up some of Cure's economy, but he's still ahead in terms of the worker count. Huge bio right there. Medevac and a couple of siege tanks going down. But now it's really this positional game for Rogue. As long as he can keep Cure engaging into the lurkers, he's going to be able to take a little bit of a better trade. I would like to see a bit of a wraparound with the Lynx as well to kind of keep this going. Even going to try and get the reinforcements, but Cure is just going to sync those up. Okay. Yeah, Rogue utilizing a little bit too much of that energy for almost no gain there. He doesn't have anything that shoots up. essentially. And so what that effectively means is now Cure is able to kind of keep this location a lot safer as the Hydras get taken down. Huge spread. Cure's going to go for it once again, but the lurker count a little bit too strong as we see a huge Roach counterattack going to take down the 4th base. So now, Rogue did do some good damage on this side, but he is still struggling to kind of clean up this location at home. There we go. The tongues coming on out to get what he needs. I don't know though. Like, the problem is Cure is never going to give up this position. He's never going to let it down either. But that's a different YouTube video altogether. Roaches, though, might have overstayed their welcome, and that is going to be a huge supply loss there for Rogue. The Lurker's still back at home. Going to do what they can. Parasitic Bomb, not going to clean up the Liberators, but it is going to kind of make them a little bit weakened for the next big fight. I don't know. I'm still really worried about this. That did he get the? He didn't. So he doesn't have the upgrade, which allows you to burrow your lurkers quicker. So what that means is that every time he has to reposition, it's just going to be so slow, and he's going to take so much damage. Spore Crawler's going to be inching their way forward as well. Going to be able to take down the Liberators. So he's going to regain a little bit of control here, but the reinforcements of Cure are going to clean up the right side of the map. And now, Rogue, down over 50 supply. Just take a look at that army. Cure getting the 3rd base killed off as well, so Rogue not going to be able to essentially remake these units as quickly as he would as if he went for a Zergling-based composition. I'm a little worried that Cure is being a little bit too passive, but I digress on that point. Rogue going to be going for a big Hail Mary attack here. He's got to be careful not to lose too many of these units, as he really can't afford to remake them. Taking some huge pot shots from the top of the ramp. Even when he brings the siege tanks down, they're still gonna get a good shot off. And yeah, Rogue supply just plummeting as this game goes on. Yeah, I mean, from this point on, it's really Cure's game to lose. Sans any huge, like, Banelink connections, which, by the way, he doesn't have. Sans any bad engagements. Sans him losing this drop, which, by the way, he might actually... I don't really think there's a lot that he can do to kind of throw this game away. Even losing that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to defend his 4th base. Doesn't mean that he's going to be able to get his drone count back up. Really, I just really hate to be a doomer in this situation here, but even losing the lurkers is just so incredibly painful at this point. That is a lot of gas expended when you pretty much don't have anything to your name. And from here, look at this. This position is kind of just hanging out. I think Kira has forgotten about it because he has so many units. We're gonna try and get a kill. No dice. I think Cure really doesn't know how dire the situation is for his opponent. He's really giving him a lot of space to kind of reinforce himself. And yeah, there we go. All right, a couple of Liberators are going to go down here, but Cure just going to lift into the main base. The Hive is completely under threat. Once that goes down, I think that is going to be Rogue's cue to tap out here. One last-ditch effort to clean this up, but that is not really enough Hydralisks to do so. Even though the Blinding Cloud went down, you still have 2 Siege Tanks on the bottom. The Lurkers do go undetected for a little while longer, but as the scan goes down, we should be seeing Rogue kind of tap out. Even this small army on this side of the map just doing tremendous amounts of work. And there you have it, guys. Cure is going to take it in a quick 3-1 victory. So that is going to be it for this series. Make sure you hit like and favorite and subscribe, and make sure to check out all of Alpha X's other great channels all over the web for the next big event. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.